What's going on, Batch fam and BatchTV? Make sure to watch this webinar. I just finished with Brent Daniels live. We talk about how to get six-figure deals. We haven't had as many people. We had over 500 people live on this thing. It was absolutely, as Brent would say, bananas. Check it out now.
Let's do this.
So we're gonna wait a few minutes for everybody to hop on, but welcome to Batch's monthly webinar. Today I have one of my favorite people in the world, Brent Daniels.
Here we go, guys. We are excited. We're going to be talking about big, massive deals. But while we're warming this up, letting people jump on, I want to tell you, I want to thank you. And this is not because of our business together and working together and all the resources that you provide, all the students that I work with around the country and that are on YouTube and listen to the podcast and all these things. But this is like personal. You sold me a wholesale house, right? In
sure
2019 at the very end, right? It was December 2019.
Yep.
It was in Scottsdale, Arizona. You got it locked up for $335. You sold it to me for, I think, $380.
Yep.
Right, you made $45,000 on it, which I was happy to pay because it was in a great school district. It was in a phenomenal, just a great area, a great zip code. And since then, no joke, I bought it for $380. I just looked. The same house without a pool is pending right now at $580,000. All right. That's when we talk about massive deals, and we're going to talk about real massive deals, like the income coming into your bank account, right? Massive deals today, and how to negotiate those and how to do those consistently. But sometimes it's those deals that you hold for a couple years, and then all of a sudden your wealth grows, right? That $200,000 worth of equity towards net worth, towards, for nothing. And I have a loved one living in it. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's the best situation ever. So first of all, thank you for selling me that property. And I think that that's a beautiful way to start kicking off and start thinking about some big, massive deals. Because, guys, I'm telling you, it was not, I mean, literally, I had a judgment, a real judgment. I got sued for an office lease when I was 27 years old that carried with me for like 7 years. Until it was, the interest on it was over $1 million. I had that, and I didn't get that removed until 2015. So that was 6 years ago to now, and net worth is blown up. All of the accumulation of all the efforts that I've been putting into this business have been building up. And I'm telling you, you stay consistent with it. Doesn't matter what setbacks come your way. You stay consistent in your real estate business, being a real estate entrepreneur. You're going to come out on top. Absolutely. You're going to come out on top. So it starts with the confidence of that. You know what I mean? So thank you. There you go.
That's a good starting story. So welcome, everybody. Type in the comments where you're from. Make sure that you see if someone's in your area, collab. It's all about collaboration. We grew together by collaborating together. Me, you, Pace, Jamil, Steve, Annie, Evo, Max, Raphael. Like, we've had this core group of people, and we all grew together. By being able to just squat up. I mean, you, Pace, and Jamil host Wholesale Hotline because of us just starting to do stuff together.
Yeah, but I think that this is really important to tell everybody. When we were really getting connected, we were pretty successful, but we weren't where we're at now. We're where we're at now because of each other.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I want everybody to be like, well, they're big because they were always big, and it was no. We grew up together because we squatted up together. We didn't compete with each other. We shared best practices with each other, and then fortunately, you, Annie, and Evo built all the tools that we build our businesses on. So it made it easier to grow faster, and now everybody can take advantage of it. So Batch has been a huge resource and tool in our business. And we couldn't have grown as fast as we have without it, without a doubt. So, I mean, I know that we're on BatchTV, and this is like, the webinar for Batch and whatever. So we'll table all the the ads or whatever, but and get into the nitty gritty and give people.
It's truly a webinar. Every time I host these, it's not to talk about. I never talk about our products. Right. It's to help you guys with things that I'm hearing from our customer success managers saying, this is where people want us to talk about things and where can we help them. So this is really for you guys, all of you that support us and that are on our platforms. We appreciate you. For those aren't, look into it. They're great platforms, but let's get into it. So Alex, how many people we have live right now?
Currently we're at 256.
Right, 250 live. That's actually one of our biggest audience. It's fantastic. Let's get some more people on.
I love it. 256 real people that are interested in this business. And I'm just telling you, real quick, to put a bow on that whole rant that I just did, squad up with the people in your area. Find people that are doing this business and you will grow 10 times faster and your mind's going to expand, because if you do a deal for 6 figures, you know, I'm like, I can do that. If Jesse can do it, I can do that. You know what I mean? If Pace can do it, I can do it. If Jamil can do it, I can do it. That's what you need to have in your own town, in your own community. So make sure that you're going out and you're connecting with people so that, you know, you lift each other up and it goes fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me break down, you guys. I just want to kind of give you guys the outline of the webinar really quick. We're going to start off with what properties do you want to target? Then we're going to go on to how to negotiate the deal. What does that look like? Brent's going to give some really good tips there. Then the most important part, it ties back to all of it, is building your cash buyers list properly.
Right.
Now, if you're going after a certain property type, you're probably going to have to go after a certain buyer type, and we're really going to dive into that. Once we wrap all of that together, then we're going to take some Q&A. And it could be about whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be about, 6-figure deal. So we're excited to really jump into this because quick story before we start is, a lot of people don't even think it's real to get a wholesale deal. Now to get a 6-figure profit, I was lucky enough on my 3rd deal, $220K.
What?
And that was on Hubzu.
Okay.
So I was able to see very quickly that, hey, you could actually rip really big deals. It was me, Danny, and Jared. I found it on Hubzu on Lafayette.
Explain what Hubzu is.
So it's Hubzu is an online auction website. And I did this in, I think it was 2015 or 16.
Yep.
Now all the hedge funds are on there. Good luck. But the thing is, finding new things that no one's doing yet and exploiting those. I was able to find so many fix and flips. We were fix and flipping too through that platform before a lot of people were using it. And it's fine. It's being ahead of the curve, finding what's next. And we're going to talk about some of the things that people aren't doing. You're getting taught, hey, go after single family properties, make $5,000 to $15,000.
Right.
No. That's not what we're talking about today. We want to talk about ripping big deals and to have the belief that you could do it. For you guys that are just getting started, you have to have that self-belief that there's no reason why you can't get your first deal can't be 100K. It could be 10, it could be 20. But if you don't believe you could get that big rip, then you're not going to do the things to get that deal.
Well, the issue that I had, and I think it might be commonplace with a lot of people, is do I deserve this?
Yes. That was my biggest thing is like
Can I make as much on one opportunity here as people making a whole year of a regular job? And I think that was the tough part. You have these ideas and thoughts, and you have these visions, and you look at it and you're like, I can visualize having $100,000 in my bank account from one opportunity, plus 100,000 plus in my bank from one opportunity. But do you really believe it? Are you really going after it? Are you really doing the things that you need to do mentally to be able to do that? Because I think sometimes we're like, oh, this is an unbelievable opportunity. And then we're like, well, I don't know if I can push it through the end. Maybe I need to get somebody that's a partner on this to split it 50-50 to make sure that I could do it. That was my issue. My issue was always like, oh my gosh, if I can't close this deal, if I can't find a buyer for it, or if I can't, if I'm going to take this down, am I taking too big of a risk, buying this property to resell it, and am I going to lose, the kind of losing, mentality of, I might be stuck with something here that's going to be negative, and it's all fake. It's all made up. It's all, it's all bubbling for no reason. And it's all, just our insecurities kind of coming to the top and saying, well, you could this is a big deal, but why don't you just split this deal this first time to make sure that it happens and so that you feel comfy and cozy. We're going to give you the tools to feel comfy and cozy today so that you can go out there confidently and sell that. And then when you get those checks, you better send me a DM and tell me about it, because I will celebrate it and ring a bell for you for sure.
Yeah. And to elaborate on that, for me, it wasn't just that. It was scared of blowing a deal up. And for me, it was like self-worth. For me, it was like, am I worthy of actually having my dreams come true? Do I deserve this? I think a lot of people self-sabotage when they first get started and be like, do I really deserve this? I think people are just as scared as success is not being successful. Right. And I promise you, it's really fun once you have that self-belief. Yeah. And it starts with squatting up, as we talked about earlier, is expanding your mind, being around people. People will lift you up, and then guess what? You'll get to do that to other people coming up, and it's a really fun process to go through and help people. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. We're getting off track.
We're getting philosophical here. Let's get tactical.
All right. So, Brent, let's talk about property types.
Yes.
What property types? So there is, let's start with single family. Let's start there. How do you get a 6-figure deal with a single family home?
Well, listen, there are a couple rules that you have to follow here. Okay. The number one rule off the bat is the seller tells you the price first.
Right.
That is number one. I don't care. That is the pinnacle. That's the first step. You need to be able to pull out that price from the property owner. Every single 6-figure deal that I've ever done, and by the way, I've got 2 closing, one for $140,000, one for $104,000, going on this month in November. We close it November. One closes the 30th, the other one the 29th. Woo. Yes, right. So the sellers gave us the price.
Right. And we'll talk about negotiation next. So let's just talk about property type first. So for a single family, what type of properties are you going to target?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Jesse.
So no price point?
It matters the price. What about? I don't care if it's single family, multifamily, land, commercial. I don't care. What is the price that somebody wants to sell this property for?
Right.
So there's a timeline there. There is. What is their motivation? Why are they getting rid of this property? What is their philosophy on getting the most out of their property? Or are they just trying to get rid of it and they want to trade equity or potential equity for speed and convenience? Right. So the issue, I think, what you're getting to, what you're nailing down here, is what type of single family properties that you should be going after. Right. You should be going after properties that are worth over $200,000. There you go. Here's the issue. A lot of the properties that we're taught to go after are these properties that are between $10,000 and $50,000 to $70,000 that are, sprinkled throughout the whole country. We're taught to go after these because these are the most beat up properties, and the sellers are a little bit easier to talk to, and all this, and you're able to build your pipeline of leads with these properties that are less expensive, or the cost of them is less, and so we go after these properties. But on average, we make about 10% if we're wholesaling properties. So if you go after something that's $50,000, you make $5,000.
Right.
Go after something that's $400,000, you're making $40,000.
Right.
Right. So properties, the single family properties that you go after, or all these properties that you have to go after to get a 6-figure deal, have to be above $200,000 typically. And then that's for, a lower medium US market. So I would say kind of where for the medium price, like let's just go, medium market. Do you want to be about where the median household is, a little bit above, a little bit below? Yep.
I would say a little bit above. So, in California, you're going after $800,000-$900,000 homes at your minimum.
Right.
In Phoenix now, I would honestly say it's probably about $400,000 is where you want to go after to have a potential 6-figure deal. Now in the markets in the Midwest, that's where you're saying you still need to be at $150,000 to $200,000. You need
to go into those $200,000 ranges.
Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that with everybody because that's not.
I think that's smart. Google your median home price in your area, and just make sure that it's above 200. And most of the country is.
Yeah, now it is, and it's just. And COVID has made everything so different, and there's such low inventory, and that's why I want to get into this next. So we talked about single family. I would say you want to be slightly above median of your market to really get those deals, but the higher that you go up, the better chance you have. So for the property that we made $220,000 on, it was a really, really distressed property. It was 7,000 square feet on a really good street in Phoenix proper, 56 and Lafayette. Yeah, right there.
I wish I would have bought that.
We paid $920 for that in 2016 or whatever, and wholesaled it for like 1.25.
Oh, now it's worth $4 million.
Now it's worth, and then he's redone it. Now prices skyrocketed. It's a $4 million home.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that's the minimum, but you have to get comfortable talking to homeowners that have more expensive homes.
That's it. That's it. And I think that some people are intimidated by that. Don't be. I mean, here's the thing. If you're going after properties, so obviously with that, you want to make sure that they've owned the property for 10 years. You want to make sure that the property's built before 1990, typically.
Yep.
And you want to make sure that they have equity in it, and most of the time they do. But I wouldn't. One thing that I will tell you here is if you're putting filters in for equity on batch leads, and when you're pulling your lists or whatever you're doing, stop pulling equity. Just do the amount of time, the years of ownership, because it's not going to be perfect, and it's an equation, and you're gonna restrict it. Like, open up your lists. Stop refining it down so little, because if you are using the tools that are available to us now in 2021, you can talk to a lot of people, have a lot of quality conversations with these distressed property owners, and so you have the ability to expand your lists.
Right.
And that's what you need to do. You need to have enough people, new, fresh people to talk to all the time.
But I think it's also about knowing your pockets. Like, you're talking about pre-1990 homes. So what houses in your market, those luxury neighborhoods, are they remodeling houses that were built in 1980 and 1990, right? Mm-hmm. And are those prices skyrocketing to where developers are buying them for $500,000 and then selling them for $2 million?
Right.
Like, you need to start looking. You're not going to just stumble across a $100K deal. You need to be intentional, and you actually have to do some research, and you actually have to be like very, very intentional about areas that you're looking in. If you're going to start hunting for deals like this, you guys, we're not saying, hey, you're just going to go get a $100,000 deal. Be intentional. But for the single families, it's finding these developers or these huge fix and flippers that are finding these pockets of really nice areas where the homes are outdated, and they're starting to have these really big comps creep up, because these people have owned these houses. I wouldn't even say 10 years. It's going to be 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
They're going to be really outdated, and you're going to be able to show them that, like, hey, this needs a lot of work, or it needs to be torn down. That's where you're going to be able to make those nice spreads, and you're going to make the homeowner happy and the developer fix and flipper happy, and you get your nice fee in between, to where it's like a win-win-win situation. And you're just helping the community build another nice house.
This is why, Jesse, I encourage everybody to drive for dollars. For real.
Facts.
Not only that, but some people, listen, you're in a virtual market. I get it. You need to take a week and go see your inventory. Can you imagine having a store and your shelves, and this is your inventory? The houses out there are your inventory. These are your shelves. These are your products. These are what's going on. You need to understand what is happening. You need to get out in the streets. You need to go see the dumpsters in front of the houses. You need to see the big additions getting put on these areas. You got to see the transitions in certain neighborhoods, and the gentrification and the expansion and progress, and what new facilities are being built for jobs. What economies are happening in the cities that you live in. And then you can kind of be a fortune teller a little bit. You can forecast, where is the progress going? Oh my gosh, this is getting so congested here, but look at these areas that used to be considered really rough and really, nobody would go in there, and they were lower priced, and it was just a rougher neighborhood. These things are changing. These things are turning over.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean,
you have to find the path of progress in your communities.
I agree.
Yep.
So single family, I think we dropped some gems there. Let's move on to multifamily.
Great.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
A lot of people look at multifamily from a cash flow perspective.
Right.
A lot of people look at it as a cap rate, or a lot of people look at it as what's the rent roll, how much are they making on this deal versus what the potential is and everything. I look at it at price. What are other multifamily selling for in this area? And this is one thing that has always been good for me is I look on the market, and anybody can do this. You can look on LoopNet. You can have an agent and pull this. You can look on Zillow, look for any kind of multifamily and or batch leads, and you can see the active properties and the pending properties. I look at what's active, and I try to be 10% below the lowest active.
Yeah.
So listen, there might be an active at 400,000, and the cash flow for this deal is like, you're not going to get more than 250,000 for this thing, but I'll sell that thing for 375,000.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because so many people, there's so much money in our economy right now that wealthy people need to put it into real estate. Every single wealth advisor, every single wealth advisor is telling every single person that has extra funds, buy real estate, do cost segregation, and reduce your tax liability. So every single one of them. So there's a lot of people that will buy and hold these things for the long term. And if you're under the market and there's nothing else to buy, people get excited about that. That's something that a lot of people are like, well, the comps don't make sense and the cash flow doesn't make sense.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
So I wanna build onto that. Actually, is the most exciting thing is getting a hold of someone that has owned a property for a long time, and you should be very, very excited when their rents are so low and they're already asking a good amount of money to where it makes no sense whatsoever. But what it does make sense to is replacing those people with the new buyer that comes in and gets the rents up. Yeah. So I've had what's helped build some of my wealth is I bought a sixplex in Phoenix, and I got it for 2018, 100 a door, or 100 a building, so $50,000 a door. Oof. He had $500 rent. It was so under-rented. It was so outdated. So I bumped up rent, bumped it up again, and finally it's just lower quality tenants. And I was like, I'm going to remodel the whole thing. Yeah. So what I did was, I'm actually doing this right now as we speak, is I kicked everybody out. Nice. And we just rented our first two for $1,300 a piece.
Oh my gosh, from $500.
Yes. Right. And I spent about $30,000 on each unit. Yep. So I'm into each unit for, let's call it 150 grand. Yeah. Or each building, 150 grand. And I bought this in 2019. I could sell them for $350 a piece. Oh yeah. That's $600,000 in profit that I've, an equity or net worth that I've created off of just spending 300 grand 2 years ago.
Yeah, but you got to the ability to buy those because you wholesaled real estate.
I got them through wholesaling.
I know.
I got them through wholesaling.
You sourced it through it.
Yes.
You were able to close on it. See, a lot of people watching this, they don't have the financial capabilities right now to be able to do it. That's why we wholesale. Right. We wholesale to get the income. That's the ATM. Right. Wholesale is not real estate investing. Real estate investing is buying and selling properties or buying and holding properties. It's not assigning deals, that we find. Right? Wholesaling is just sourcing the opportunities. So we have to source it. That's the start of our journey, and get those big checks, the big $220,000 checks, to start building that company, to start getting that consistency, to build your bank account, to take advantage of opportunities where you can buy these properties at $50K a door and then take advantage of the upside.
And I could have sold them I could have made $20,000 for each door. Right. And I sold it. But this goes back into, when you guys get these big checks, don't go buy the stupid cars. Don't go buy the stupid stuff. What I did was I started stacking cash, and this was my first big real estate investment, to where I got conventional loans on all of them. Yeah. I think my total with down payment and closing costs was about $90,000. Yeah, and it was one of the biggest things that I did to help my net worth grow when I was earlier in my career, to start putting me on that path to success. And I was instantly cash flowing with well under rented properties, but that's how you find those big deals. Is through that type of stuff. This guy owned it for 30 years. Yeah, he loved his tenants. They were vastly under rented. That's the type of person you want to find, especially in this market today. You go make a fortune off that. Yep. And it doesn't matter if the numbers actually make sense to what they're renting for. It's what can you get them to? Yeah, is what people want to see.
Love it.
So
love it. Let's keep rolling.
That's
land.
Land. Let's get into land. Land. There are some monster deals.
Everybody sleeps on land. Everybody sleeps on land. I think land is one of the strongest lists. The thing that I love the most about land is people either want 10 times what it's worth or they want nothing. So it gives you the opportunity to find some really, really, really good opportunities. A lot of people find land to be mysterious, so they don't go after it. But I think land is way easier of a transaction than a tenant-occupied property. I think that a lot of people are looking towards land for development, for expanding their own properties. We sell a lot of land to the neighbors that border land because they're already using it anyway, and they're afraid that we're going to, sell it to somebody and they're going to build something, or they're going to have to take their kids' playground down that they built on this vacant land that's been there since the beginning of time,
right?
But nobody's done anything with it, so they've kind of adopted it anyway. So land is fantastic. You pull a list of land and you just start calling around, and you start finding people that just don't want to pay the taxes on it anymore.
Right.
They don't want to deal with it anymore. They don't want to deal with the maintenance of it anymore. You get code violations on land if you don't keep it clean and safe and free from too much debris and overgrowth.
Oh,
and things
for
like
sure.
That. So, land is a fantastic list to go after.
And I want to add on again is with land, basically, we have a shortage in America for properties being built right now.
Yep.
Land. Anthony Pappas, my buddy, he literally drives for dollars on batch driven all day. Mm-hmm. That's all he does. I think he had his first 100K month, and he spends $100 on batch driven every month. And all he does is drive for land. But we're gonna get into our next topic shortly. Is he went around all of Phoenix and found all of the builders, small builders, big builders, people that are building duplexes, and he built his buyers list. And all he does is go after land and find opportunities. I don't know if he's had a 100K rip, but I think he closed an 80K rip this month on land. And I think it was, 200-300.
How'd you get that terminology, rip?
I don't know.
It's just your thing?
Yeah.
Some people are like the bag, the rip, the deal, it's funny. What's another one? God, there's some funny ones. Anyway, whatever. I was just wondering, you always say rip, and I'm like, rip, yeah.
I don't know.
It's a rip.
It's a Washington thing, I guess. I'm from Washington State.
It, yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
We had California influences when I was younger.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But I want to get into the most important part.
Let's get into it.
You can't, none of these things matter unless you have a great buyer's list, a robust buyer's list, and a specific buyer's list for all the things that we just talked about. You need specific buyers for land and specific types of land. Same thing for multifamily and same thing for these more expensive single family homes that you're having a different type of flipper flip these properties. Not a lot of people in markets are doing the luxury, and luxury could be in a Midwest market for $500,000. It doesn't necessarily mean it's $1 million home,
right?
But these large, $100,000 plus remodels, not everybody could take on.
Right.
The lipstick remodels are the easiest, and that's why there's so much competition. There's so much saturation in those markets.
Yep.
So let's get into it. I know you've had one of the best buyers lists I've known of for a very, very long time, even since I met you in like 2017.
And we've increased that, some of it's market conditions, but we average $42,000 a deal, right? And the reason for that is because we build healthy tension with our cash buyer database. So they're not trying to get us to only work with them, be like cash buyer employees where one company wants all your deals and they butter you up and they, take you out and they try to, get you exclusive with them. They know that this is going to go out to everybody and they have to be the highest and best. So but you can only do that if you've got a good, robust cash buyer database, and that takes some time. But what we did is we just traded up. We built a list and then we traded up. Built a list, traded with Jared Vidalis. Boom, got his list. And then boom, traded with Steve Trang. Boom, trade. You know what I mean? Like it was all, I don't know if we traded with Steve Trang. Steve will get mad if we didn't. So I feel like we did. Anyway, but just...
that's collaborate. Yes. That's collaboration. That's not having that scarcity mindset saying these are my buyers.
Right.
You want more buyers, and then when you could blast out deals, that's when you build those personal relationships when people call and reach out.
Yeah.
Then you find out more. Then you have. You have a VIP list too, don't you?
No.
You don't? So you
No.
just blast it to anyone?
We have a VIP list that we will send deals to second.
What do you mean?
We will send it to our big list first, and then our VIPs. If it doesn't sell to our big list, we take it to our VIPs. It's totally different.
It's backwards.
Yeah.
So explain your logic.
Because if you see that I have a deal, and you're on my VIP list, and we're like buddy, and we've got a relationship, and I don't sell that deal to you, you're gonna be like, "What the hell, man?" Like, let's get like it intrudes on a friendship. I would rather sell it to the mom and pops that we don't know, or the realtors that represent people that we don't know, than this whole like close-knit community of people fighting. Then Jamil wants it, you want it, Pace wants it, somebody else wants it, Spencer wants it, everybody wants this deal, and then all of a sudden we have to play favorites. Yeah. It's gross. It feels gross for us. This is just us. Yeah. We found we get bigger deals by putting it out to everybody, and then we usually sell it. And then if we don't, or if it's something specific, we'll take it to a specific buyer. Gotcha. Especially if somebody's like, they can close on something that they have to evict somebody, right, or they have to, some kind of specialized, they selling it to somebody that's new would have a real tough time going through the process than selling to somebody that is experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we good?
We're dying. The
computer's dying. So for someone that's getting started,
yeah.
What's your best advice to build? Let's specifically talk about, a quality buyers list. And let's say specifically for what we're talking about today, what would you have them do?
Well, number one, here's the thing. If people are telling you that you're making too much on your deal, you're talking to the wrong people.
Facts.
Okay? And that is the biggest fear for a lot of people starting out, is somebody that's experienced, that has a good reputation, telling you you're making too much, I need to get this at a lower price. Right? So what do? We double close. We double escrow. We do all these things to hide the amount of money that we're making per deal, which is a good strategy. It truly is.
Right.
It's a good strategy. It costs you more, but at some point you build up thick enough skin that says, no, take it or leave it, or I'll sell it to somebody else.
Right.
And listen, I've assigned this year, not double close, not double escrow, a $92,000 deal. And the conversation is, listen, we're making a ton on this. If you have a problem with it, then I'll sell it to somebody else. If not, I'm going to make $92,000 on this. We negotiated this really well, and it's a phenomenal deal. But if you have a problem with it, we're going to sell it to somebody else. Are you cool? Yeah, I don't care. I want the deal. Okay, great. Boom. And that's the conversation that we had.
It's being upfront with someone.
Of course. But it's also that certainty. Certainty and likability in negotiating or telling or talking about money is so critical. Certainty and likability. Certain that I know that this property is still a deal, and there's still meat on the bone, and this is still a great opportunity for somebody. And the likability to not be like an asshole out there that's just, take it or leave it. Don't tell me how much money I can make. What are you doing? You know what I mean? It's like, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to make. If you're cool with that, cool. If not, I'm going to move on.
So what I did, and once I got to a place when I had enough funds to close on stuff, it was more confident, but I did do this before we could actually close on deals.
Yeah.
Is I was like, this is the number I need to get for me not to want to flip it or turn it into a rental, whatever strategy I was going to.
Yeah.
And be like, if you don't want it if you're not okay with that, then I'll just buy it.
Perfect.
Like honestly, there's not a negotiation here. I love that you want to. I would do the same thing if I were you. I feel you, brother.
Beautiful.
But what I'm going to do is, this is the price that makes sense for me to wholesale it. Yep. If not, it makes sense for me to flip it.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work for you, I totally understand. But then you're not being combative with them, and they can't really fight with you. So when I was doing a lot of dispo, which I did for
I love that.
both of my wholesale companies, I got really good at it. Mm-hmm. That's what I did. It just says, here's the number, do it or don't.
Yeah.
And I was bluffing. Like sometimes it was like at the last second, I needed someone to do it. I didn't change my strategy.
Right.
I stuck to what I did.
Right.
And if it didn't work, then sometimes I'd have to go, renegotiate. But it got to a point to where that was actually true. Mm-hmm. And then my dispo manager, when I wasn't doing it, he knew exactly what to do. He's like, the company will just buy it. Like, sorry. Like, it is what it is. I'd love to make a little commission, but if not, I don't make any money. So, it's the company's decision on what we sell it for them to make sense. And I had a lot of success doing that way, to where you stay firm with your number. Bryant Apples, I don't know if he's watching or not, but he would do this to me all the time. And I'd just be like, bro, like we've ran this rodeo over and over again. Here's the price. Well, what about $2,000? Here's the price.
Yeah.
Bryant, I'll buy it. And then I'd actually buy him, and then I'd show him what I make on the flip, and I'm like, whoops.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
But that's just a great way if you're new. Stick to something like that. Stick to a strategy like that, and just say, hey, I'll buy it. And if they don't believe you can't buy it, then that means you're not portraying the confidence that you need to for someone to portray that. You know, they're going to negotiate with you and try and bluff you. There's an art to this, so you have to get good at it. And hopefully, you get enough deals to where you can take stuff down. If you contract something, it should be a good enough deal for you to buy.
Yeah,
and that's just the way it is.
Love it.
All right. What else do we got? What other best practices do you have for buyers lists?
Well, listen, right now, people should be taking advantage of the hedge funds. People should be taking advantage of hedge funds that are going in and buying up properties. And listen, guys, they don't have the capability to buy the whole city. They don't have the capability to like own America, and now we're all chained as renters. It's trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of value in real estate that, you know, a couple billion here and there is a drop in the bucket if you truly look at it. But those billions are being spent right now at record paces, and we're selling these properties as is, cash, like at retail or above retail prices if they're in good shape. Right. If they're in rough shape, they'll obviously pay, and they'll typically pay anywhere from 5 to 10% more than what we would get from a regular cash buyer, depending on the condition. Sometimes it's just too beat up and they don't want to go that far and it doesn't fit into their box. But I would look at hedge funds. I would find the real estate agent that represents the hedge fund.
Let me stop you first. Okay.
Well, we got to give some instruction.
Yeah, someone's saying how to find the hedge fund buyers.
I think we're taking this conversation to here. We need to bring it down here to tactical, which is find a real estate agent that represents hedge funds and ask them what they're buying, and they'll send you over their buy box, and then just keep sending them deals and watch what happens.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So how do they get a hold of the hedge funds? Through a real estate agent?
Through the agent.
Through the agent. So you want to look up online where these hedge funds are buying.
That's it.
And then find the real estate agent on the MLS or whatever.
Yeah.
And those are conversations that I would prep for too. You just don't want to be like, hey, I have wholesale deals. Like, how can you add value to them? What can I do for you? What are you looking for? Don't just call and expect to get these great buyers without figuring out how you're going to be helpful to them.
Right.
How are you going to stand out from the next person that's sending them all these deals? Like,
exactly.
How are you going to make the process easier for them? What could I do to make it to where I'm your favorite acquisition person that's feeding you deals? Don't be in it for yourself. Be in it for them. Build a relationship.
Well, and most of that comes down to, guys, it comes down to just respond and over communicate. You need to be emailing and texting and calling, and when they respond to you, respond quickly. We are professionals. We need to respond fast when we have something come into our life. If it hits your phone and you're in a position to respond right away, respond right away. Now, obviously, if you're in a meeting or if you're on an appointment or if you're driving or if you're doing something else, then get to it as quick as you can. But over response and over communication wins the game. It wins the game every single time. You're not gonna do less deals from over communicating. You will do a massive amount of more deals, more deals if you over communicate.
Lewis, I see that you have hedge fund buyers. Don't send your deals to him. Go find your own hedge fund buyers. To be honest with you, someone asked. Let's start getting into some Q&A.
Let's do it.
I think we've done that.
Let's do it real quick. Just to guys, listen. Every single deal that we've done, the seller has told us the price first. You need to build up your skills of pre-qualifying based on the condition of their property, their timeline to sell that property, their motivation to sell that property, or what is their problem, and their price. And it goes in that order. I am telling you, if you go in that order, the conversation's going to blossom in front of you. It really will, but it starts with the condition timeline. If you get the condition and timeline, 95% of the time you should be getting the motivation, and then it's just getting the price. And when they throw out that price, and when it happens, it's going to happen. It's going to happen to you. When they throw out that price and it's something ridiculous that you never expected, take a deep breath. You've been expecting this, and just go with it, right? Just keep going like it's normal and ask them the all-important question. Is that the best you can do?
Right, exactly.
You know, is that the best you can do on that price? Is there any wiggle room in that, or is that a concrete price that you have to hit to sell this property to me, right? And you need to make sure that you leave no doubt in their mind that you can do that deal, and and they won on the price that they wanted.
Right.
And some people don't care about the price. That's the misconception. That's the thing that people really don't understand until you experience it. Some people want you to win. Some people want you to get huge deals. Some people don't care about the money. Some people truly don't care about the money. They just want to get rid of a property. They want it as smooth as possible, and they don't want to think about it.
Right.
Every time that's been the case, that's when we get those 6-figure deals.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then someone was asking, can you sign the agreements to the hedge funds, or how does that process work?
Some of them you can, some of them you can't.
So
some of them you have to have ownership, and some of them are fine if you assign it to them.
So that goes back to, if you don't have the money to close on them, then you probably squat up, or you might not want to work with that hedge fund. But there is ones that do assignments, and there's ones that you have to have ownership in.
I would get transactional funding.
And you could also do that. You can get transactional funding, a few $1,000s.
I mean, if you're talking about making way more on a deal, you can spend the extra $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for closing costs and fees to close that deal from a transactional funding lender.
And then, guys, just to make sure, if you feel like Brent and myself are dropping gems, type a 1 in the comments. We want to make sure that you guys are getting value out of this webinar. And then how
many people are on here?
Yeah, how many people we got on right now?
381
Let's
beautiful
go.
souls. I love you. I do. I say that all the time, but I truly do. I mean, we have the same brain. That's what I think. I really do. There's just, listen, everybody on here knows that they've had a conversation, or they will have a conversation with loved ones or coworkers or people that they grew up with or family, and they get excited about wholesaling and they get excited about real estate investing, and people look at them like, what? What are you talking about? They just don't get it at all. So the beautiful people that are on here, the beautiful people that want to be real estate entrepreneurs, number 1, I love you. Number 2, I'm going to do my best to give you all the tools possible so that you can succeed as fast as possible. Because selfishly, I want more of us. Selfishly, I want people to win in this thing because it's so exciting. And there is, if you look at this, there's 12 million vacant properties based on the 2020 census that just came out. 12 million properties plus that are vacant for over a year in our country. 6 to 10% of the real estate market is in distress statistically. Every single year around the country, 6 to 10% of the properties are in distress. Who's going after them? Who's talking to the vacant properties? Who's helping people out of pre-foreclosure? Who's helping people avoid losing their properties to tax defaults? Who's helping people while they're going through divorce, bankruptcy, who are going through terrible things in their life, or they just have a rundown property that they don't have the financial means to go out and fix up? We are the ones going out there proactively finding these people and solving those problems, and that's why I salute everybody that is going out there and helping out the community. It's fantastic.
That's the gem of the day. This dude inspires me every day. I'm lucky enough to have him work with me in the same office. Yeah, he is what you see every single day. It is a blessing for me to be a part of it. But let's get into some questions. But I can't agree more. Wholesaling absolutely changed my life. I went from I was 29 years old and had $1,000 in my bank account. Like throughout my whole 20s, always struggling, nothing, fell ass backwards into real estate. And once I started believing in myself and being around the right people, you guys, I have been there for you guys that are just getting started. And I swear to you, it really changed my life. And I'm really happy that we're able to build tools and products for you guys to change your lives too. You could ask anyone on my team. That's all I preach about is how do we help people get deals. That's all I ever talk about.
Well, and I think people need to understand you do something that the other companies don't, and you have incredible staff under the roof here that is helping everybody. Like no company has this many people on support for this thing. I mean, it's bananas, and that'll show to anybody that's using the services, but it's just a different vibe. So you put your money where your mouth is for sure.
We try to.
Yeah.
Questions, you guys. We're opening up for questions, so go in the Q&A and ask questions. Someone has, what do you recommend for a CRM to use?
Well, I would use, it depends on what your strategy is for lead generation. So remember, whenever you are, as you build this business, just understand that there's 3 parts to this business: lead generation, conversion, and exit strategy. So your exit strategy could be that it is, there's only 3 exit strategies: assign that deal, flip that deal, or hold that deal. When it comes to lead generation, you're either buying leads, you're buying conversations, you're getting referrals to those conversations, or you're proactively going after those conversations with distressed property owners. And then the conversion side's all about lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, and the offer presentation. So with those 3 steps, with your CRM, it depends on where you're at. If you're generating, that was a long explanation to answer your question. But if you're generating leads from being proactive, from going out there and calling people or door knocking, I would just use batch, the batch driven if you're going to go door knocking, or the batch dialer for your CRM if you're making the calls. So if you're making the calls, most of my students around the country use the batch dialer until they start hiring people, and then you start hiring people, and then you can use a CRM. I think too many people get lost in the CRM that it becomes creative avoidance. So you're avoiding the real work because you're living in your CRM, and that's the wrong approach. The best wholesalers and real estate investors that I know used one of these for like the first $1 million that they did.
Yeah, or you could get a very simple Podio, but people try and overcomplicate things when they should be prospecting. When you're getting started, prospect. Like, get in front of people, get leads, lead generate. Make sure that you can follow up properly, whatever you see fit, but you don't need to make all these automations and do all these things when you're just getting started. That's something you need to build out as you go, but it should be a small part of what you do. You need to make money when you get started, or else you won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Go make money.
CRMs, in my opinion, are the quicksand of our industry. They are. You get stuck in them, and you're just like, you're not doing anything productive. And then you try to, you get real creative on, how do I get deals without having to talk to people? How do I get deals that just fall into my lap? How do I do it? Listen, if you don't have 200 active leads that you're following up with, you don't need a CRM.
And then, okay, here's a question. Why would an owner of a high equity vacant property that's been sitting here want to sell, and how do I talk to them? Why wouldn't they want to sell?
Well, it just depends on what their problem is, what their distress is. If they don't have a problem, then they won't sell. But every single time, listen, there has to be motivation and there has to be equity for wholesale deals. So it has to be that they have a problem that a cash as is offer will solve. Now, remember, we don't convince anybody. We're deal finders, not deal creators. That's a huge thing to really twist into your mind. We're deal finder. You find those sellers that want to sell because they have a problem with this property and they've owned it for a while and they have equity. It happens every day.
I couldn't agree more.
It happens every day. Every hour of every day. Every minute of every day. Maybe every second. I don't know.
Beth, how do you comp properties? I can answer this. We have a crazy comping tool in Batch Leads, so where you could we have MLS access nationwide.
Yeah.
Go check it out. We just actually rolled out some great features. It is absolutely incredible, and you don't have to pay for it. It's a part of your subscription. If you guys have Batch Leads, you can use that to comp properties. If you need help comping them, hop on a one-on-one or an onboarding. They will show you how to use that to the T. And I believe Jamil has a comping show every single week using Batch Leads is comping, and it's on Sundays. It's called Straight Outta Compton. That's where I go. If you need to learn how to comp, go watch his show on Sunday. It's on YouTube, Jameel Damji, and you can watch one of the shows he's already done. But he will help you comp properties live. Like, if you want to learn how to really comp, go watch that. He is the king of comping.
Love it.
Brendan asks, Brent, what strategies are you using to pay less on taxes when getting the six-figure deals? I have more tax strategies than Brent does, but Brent, you could answer that question if you want.
Well, there's a couple different things here. Number one, just understand this, and I want everybody to really, really, really be clear on this. You can't not pay taxes. And I'm just being honest with you. I have talked to the top guys here in Phoenix. I have hired somebody that I literally pay a very high amount on a monthly basis to, make sure everything that I have is corrected. He's part of my squad, part of my team. And the fact is this, at some point, now you can delay taxes, but you're going to pay taxes. That's just that is the rent we pay to live in this country. Everybody has to do it. You can try to pay less than it. You could try to get crazy with your expenses. You can have a lot of different tax opportunities that you can talk to a CPA about. But the fact is, if you're worried about paying taxes on big deals, you're looking at the wrong side of this.
Yeah.
You should be happy. You know what your goal should be?
Six-figure taxes.
What's his name? Brendan?
Brendan, yeah.
Brendan, here's your goal. You want to really crush this thing? Your goal should be to pay $1 million in personal income tax every year. How about that? Do you know how much money that would mean that you have going back to your family? A whole bunch. Listen, every athlete that you know pays taxes. Every entertainer, every business person, every business, everybody. Everybody pays taxes. It's just part of the deal. You win the lottery, guess what? It goes to taxes. And the lottery is run by the government. Like, what are we talking about here? They win every time. So listen, we get schools, we get streets, we get security, we get spaces, we get all this, the S's as they call them, for living in this country. And there's a reason why this country is so incredible. And it's because we pay taxes.
And then Maria asked a question on subject 2. I would actually reach out to Pace.
What's the question?
It's long.
Well, what is the specific? Can we break it down?
I didn't read it all the way.
Subject 2, how do we confirm to a skeptical seller that you are taking over their loan, that it will be paid, so he knows this loan will not default? What if the seller's planning to purchase another property and this loan shows up? Does this affect his debt to ratio for the new loan? How do you overcome these questions with the seller? Well, the question is that the best option for that seller? It might not be. They might need to sell that property. If they're worried about all those things, in my experience, like this, and those are the things that you have to overcome, maybe they shouldn't overcome it. Maybe they should just sell the property and get out of there.
Yeah, they want their cake.
If you want it, listen, when you do a subject to, you are married to that personality that you're talking to right here for a long time. They're going to come back into your life. They're going to creep back into your life all the time. They're going to have a lot of questions. Now, the benefits to the sub 2 is it cleans up. It probably catches up that loan, right? If they're behind, which typically they are. So you catch up that loan so that they don't have all those mispayments, further mispayments, and foreclosing that property. And you could set it up so that it's guaranteed that it gets paid by a servicing company. So it builds up their credit. But their debt to income ratio will be affected by it, without a doubt. So just whenever you're doing a sub 2, just remember, you're married to these people. Unless you want to wholesale that sub 2 to somebody else, and then that turns into a whole situation in itself. But there's a lot of responsibility that goes with subject 2. And listen, Pace is the master of it. He's got a million things online that are free that you can look at.
So someone asked, do I need batch driven? And if I have batch leads, they seem similar. They're actually very different. Batch driven is a driving for dollars app. So that's, someone also asked, can we comp in batch driven? That's what batch leads is for. Batch leads is really your all encompassing data management. You could skip trace in there, all those type of things.
Yeah.
Batch driven is really meant to find leads. Batch leads has add-ons with texting and sending direct mail, but it's really you're housing all of your data. You're housing everything. You're organizing everything. Your lists are there.
Listen. Batch driven is augmented reality. It's Pokemon Go. It is driving around, and all of a sudden that house shows up on your phone as it's in distress for a variety of different reasons. You guys have a ton of different filters on there.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Showing the differences on what that distress is and who you should be going after. So it's truly like an augmented reality where you're just driving around like, oh my gosh, there's my Pokemon that I have to go collect. There it is. I mean, that's the mentality of it. When it comes to the technical side and the numbers side, you need to deep dive into batch leads.
Yeah, exactly. So no, you cannot use batch driven for comping. Unfortunately, it's more of a lead generation tool, as I just said. Let me see. People always ask this question to you, so we have to ask it. What's the best list to call, Brent?
That's a good question. 80% of new real estate investors get their first deal from driving for dollars. All right, that's it. You're building it. You understand.
You build your own list.
You build your own list, and you know they're in distress. The physical condition of the property is an indicator of distress. So just go after those properties that are in rough shape. Listen, it's a very simple formula. Real estate investing is a very simple formula if you're sourcing your own deals, which I highly suggest you do, because once you have the skill of sourcing your own deals, you can literally do anything. You can fix and flip. You can buy and hold. You can develop. You can become the bank. You can become a coach and mentor. You can do all these things, but it starts with your ability to source real estate opportunities. All right. And most of the times it comes from driving for dollars.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can do one more.
Got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, we got a few more minutes. I gotta respect Brent's time here. Someone said I have a high percentage of unresponsive people from my driving for dollars. And
yes,
absolutely. You're looking at like the more distressed a property is. I can tell you this just from owning a skip tracing company. The more transient the person is, the more their phone numbers are going to change. The more they're not going to live at that address, and then we're going to say, okay, they maybe live at this address and they don't live there. The harder people are to find in stuff like that, and having these lists that you're building yourselves, you're not going to have as high as response rate. You're digging for the gold. You're really trying to find those gems of properties. That's why you're building it yourself. But they're going to be more transient people normally when you're doing your own driving for dollars.
I'll tell them the stats right now.
Yeah,
100. You need to talk to 200 people to get a deal.
There you guys go.
You need
people
to talk to, not on your list, not, I'm hoping to get a hold of them, that you have a conversation with, that you at least reach out to them, and 180 of those people are going to tell you to go die. 180 of those people are going to tell you the scum of the earth. 180 of those people are going to hang up on you, tell you no, tell you to get a job, tell you that you're the 15th person that has called them. 180. Are you strong enough? Are you strong? This is real. Are you strong enough to get through that? And then 19 people will tell you this: I'll sell for the right price. How much will you give me? I'm thinking about selling. I need to get the tenant out. And one of those people, 1 out of 200, will do business with you. One of those people, it'll be smooth. And that's 10, 20, 30, $100,000 deal. So the question is, do you have enough? Do you have a thick enough skin? Are you like a rhinoceros where you understand that you're interrupting people's day? They have the right to react the way 180 people have the right to be rude to you. Are you okay with people being rude to you? If not, then, maybe buy internet leads or something. You know what I mean?
And then,
but if you're going to be proactive, if you don't have a budget of $30,000 to throw at marketing, you need to be proactive. You need to get that tough skin. And the encouraging thing is, I have coached more people than anybody to be successful at this. Anybody can do it. I don't care if you're tall, you're short, you're fat, you're ugly, you're beautiful, you're a woman, you're a man, you're both, whatever. It doesn't matter. Anybody can do this. Anybody has done this. I make it a point to put everybody on display and interview people on the podcast of their success stories on this. Anybody can do it. But are you willing to take 199 no's to get one yes that makes you $10,000 to $100,000? That's the key.
So Beth asked a great question, and I want to end with this one because we talked about get the price from the homeowner first. She says, what do you say when the owner keeps saying, make me an offer? So what do you do?
Well, there's a couple different things. One, do you have the condition, timeline, motivation?
Right.
That's the first three things. Every conversation goes to those 4 pillars that you're talking to. So if you're feeling nervous because you're new and you're not really sure what to ask or not really sure what the skeleton of a conversation or the scaffolding of a conversation should sound like with a property owner, that is your roadmap, the condition, timeline, motivation, price. What remodeling have you done to the kitchen and bathroom in the last 5 years? What, I can typically get you, just so that you know how we work, Susan, we close deals in 14 to 30 days. If I get your money in 30 days, does that work for you? Okay, great. And then from there, you've got their motivation. It sounds like, you're ready. It sounds like you want to get this thing done. You're ready to get your money in the next 30 days. The real question is, how much do you want for that property? Every single property owner that we've worked with has a magic price. If they get that price, they'll sell their property. What's your magic price? Well, I don't know. You tell me. And at the worst case scenario, write this all down, everybody. Write this all down. Go to Zillow as you're talking to them. Literally, just Google the address. If the property is above, on Zillow, $250,000, take a shot across the bow at 66% of that price. All right. So you take that price, it's 313 times 0.66. That's typically what you can pay for it. Now, if it's below 250 and between 100,000, 250 to 100,000, this middle range, you want to be 50%. 50. So times it by 0.5. If it's under 100,000, you want to throw out 0.25%, 25%, 0.25. So that's what you want to do. 25% under 100,000, 100,000 to 250, 50%, above 50%, above 250, 66%. All right, guys, if I'm going too fast, I literally break this down very slowly on the YouTube channel, Brent Daniels YouTube channel. You can check it out.
Ayo.
Yeah.
Brent Daniels.
Woo!
Dropping gems.
Happy Friday, everybody.
And then, guys, the replay will be on this on BatchTV. We do have a YouTube channel, 3 videos every week. RJ Bates actually goes live showing how he's getting deals using Batch leads. Like, literally, he's live locking up deals. King closer. He is absolutely incredible. Michelle Hastings, she was on here today. She's actually doing videos on questions you guys ask to help you know the systems and are better. And then I'm doing a video every week or so, including these monthly webinars. To all of you that use our products, we appreciate you so very much. And I couldn't be more happy to continue to do these webinars. And to you for coming on today and spending time giving value to everyone. I couldn't appreciate it anymore.
I love it. And just a final note, if you don't mind, and then we'll close this thing out. Here's the key. And this is fundamental. If you have enough quality conversations with distressed property owners, your financial life will be set. I am telling you, if you have enough quality conversations with distressed property owners, you win. And it's undefeated. It's just sticking with it. It's just making this sustainable in your life. Sustaining the actions towards your dream of being a real estate entrepreneur, getting out of whatever industry that you're in and getting full-time building something for you and your family. Whether you want to call that legacy, whether you want to call that destiny, whether you want to call that just it's already in your DNA to be an entrepreneur. This is your outlet. Quality conversations with distressed property owners. That's the focus. Talk to people. TTP. I am telling you, you do that. I don't know a single person that has ever lost by having enough quality conversations with distressed property owners. That is the crux of sourcing the biggest and best deals.
Awesome.
You
guys, let's go get that.
Let's get them.
I'm used to being able to edit this, so I apologize. I'm like, I need to redo that. You guys, appreciate you for coming out. Until next time, let's get it.
Love you guys. See ya.
We do this webinar every single month, so make sure you look out for the emails so you can attend live next month. I want to answer your questions, so join us live. If you like this, make sure to smash that button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, let's get it.